Okay, thank you. Good morning. Welcome to the Zoning Board of Appeals meeting for the Village of East Hampton for Friday, March 12th. We have the minutes from February 12th, 2021. May I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We have three determinations from the last meeting. Now, I'll just find it here. We have three determinations today. If you're interested in viewing the file, you can contact Pam Bennett at Village Hall to make arrangements. In the application of Lily Pond Equities, 33 Lily Pond Lane, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 13-13-11.1, to make alterations and additions to an existing single-family residence and construct accessory improvements is approved.
Mr. McGurk?
Yes.
Mr. McMullen?
Yes.
Mr. O'Connell?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Yes.
Mr. Rose?
Yes.
We have the second determination in the application of BG Development H LLC, 39 Conklin Terrace, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 1-3-34-.1 to allow two driveway curb cuts to remain with subject property is limited. One curb cut is denied. Ms. Bennett?
Mr. McGurk?
Yes.
Mr. McMullen?
Yes.
Mr. O'Connell?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Yes.
Mr. Rose?
Yes.
And then third determination in the application of Sanford Robertson, 130 Further Lane, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 10-119 to construct additions onto an existing residence and to make alterations to an existing accessory building is approved. Ms. Bennett?
Mr. McGurk?
Yes.
Mr. McMullen?
Yes.
Mr. O'Connell?
Yes.
Mr. Humphrey?
Yes.
Mr. Rose?
Yes.
So we do have one continued hearing on Wendy R. Sirkin and Andrew E. Goldstein, 87 Georgia Road. Ms. Bennett, can you just indicate who is sitting on this application?
Mr. McMullen? Let me get my list.
Sorry to throw that at you.
That's okay. Mr. McMullen, Mr. O'Connell, Mr. Humphrey, Mr. Rose, Mr. Barris.
Okay, Jimmy?
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Pam. Last meeting, we were presented this application, and we had some concerns. We requested that the shed be moved further from the property line to 4 feet, which the applicant has resubmitted information saying that he's willing to do that. I know that other members wanted to go by the site again to take a look at the location. Mr. Barris, did you get to go see that?
Yeah, I walked the location. Do you want my opinion, or you want me to just tell you that I walked the location?
Yeah, no, that'd be good.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with this application at all, as long as it's the 4 feet. I think that there's a fairly good argument for the fact that it's pretty heavily wooded. Trees would have to come down. Plus the accessibility of where the structure is relevant to the driveway just seems to make sense. So I would approve the application at the 4 feet.
Okay, I am in agreement with you as well. Mr. Rose?
So I too had a chance to go back and walk the property, and I agree that it's a reasonable request in the context. I just want to say that this is I don't know if it's a unique property, but it's a fairly special situation with the corner lot, with the setbacks, with the tree removal issue. So I am, as a rule, very sensitive to the issue of required setbacks. So I want to stress that this does not imply a casual attitude towards protecting the side or rear yard or front yard setbacks. So I don't, this is a special situation for a minor adjustment in order to protect some trees. So this should not be looked at as a casual attitude towards the setbacks in general. But I'm comfortable with the application as submitted.
Thank you. Mr. O'Connell?
I'm in agreement with Mr. Rose, yourself, and Mr. Barris, and especially how Mr. Rose laid it out. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And Mr. Humphries?
I'm going to go along with the majority. I agree with Joe that this is a tough one because of the setback issue, but he has a double lot and they truly want to keep the wooded lot. And I appreciate that. So I'm going to go along with the other votes.
Great, thank you. So then I would ask that we close the hearing for determination. And
Can I just ask, just make sure that I know it's a house being developed on the adjacent property. I just want to make sure that the adjoining property has been noticed.
Yes,
they
within
have.
300 feet of the subject property.
Right, okay, just want to make sure. So if there was, in fact, an objection from a neighbor, we would have heard it.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I would turn it back to John then.
All right, so we have,
We have a motion to close.
I second the motion to close.
Thank you.
Okay,
so we have two applicants on the continued hearings that I believe one applicant, Daniel Farber and Rochelle Shaw, 70 Dayton Lane. I believe they're waiting for surveys. And then we have JABR LLC, 209 Further Lane. I believe we're waiting for a planning board decision. Is that true, Ms. Bennett, or is that?
I believe so. I think it's in the planning board's hands.
Okay. And then under the hearings, Under One Roof LLC, 29 King Street, has asked to be adjourned till next month. I believe that's April 9th.
Mhm.
And Eric and Lori Blatstein, 211 Lily Pond Lane, the application has been withdrawn. So now we'll move on to the new hearings. And I will let Ms. Bennett take us away.
Application of 40 Middle Lane LLC, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 301-412-4.3 for a variance from Chapter 278 zoning to permit the transfer of 76,862 square feet of land area to property identified as 50 Middle Lane. A 76,862 square foot variance is requested from section 278-3A1 to reduce the size of the property from 160,000 square feet to 83,138 square feet, where the minimum required lot area is 160,000 square feet and any other relief necessary. The land area is being transferred to property identified as 50 Middle Lane and will be made conforming to the minimum lot area requirements. This project also requires subdivision approval of the planning board. The subject property is located at 40 Middle Lane and is in Residence District R160. This project is classified as a type 2 action in accordance with SEQA.
John, do you want to take it away?
Hi, John Tarbett for the applicant. So my client owns both of these properties. They originally purchased the vacant land with the intention of building a home. And then the property next door, which is already improved, came on the market. There are two pre-existing non-conforming conditions on these properties. The first is that the improved property is actually over what would be allowed gross floor area today. And the second is that the tennis court exists without a primary structure on the vacant land. If the variance were granted to allow us to move the lot line, those two pre-existing conditions would go away. The improved property would then be under the allowable gross floor area, and the tennis court would be incorporated into the improved property. So besides that, what's really going on here is it's like a mirror flip. So the vacant land, which is large, would become relatively small for the zoning district, and the improved property, which is pretty built on, would then be on a bigger property, and it would fit more appropriately onto that property. Other than that, we went to the planning board. They indicated they were in favor of the application, and the variance is it is a variance to make a property smaller than what is allowed, but again, it's just a mirror flip. We're trying to and that my client would then the intention to actually keep both properties, but the improved property is under renovation right now, and it would essentially be kept as a compound for the time being.
Okay. Billy, do you want to comment on this for the board? And then we'll chime in.
Sure. Good morning, members of the board. Billy Hajak for the Village. John summarized it pretty well. I offer no real concerns with the project. The lots maintain a generally rectangular shape. It essentially is an even swap of land between the two properties, so it doesn't increase the degree of nonconformity when you look at the two lots as a whole. And as John has indicated, it actually corrects to nonconforming conditions that presently exist. The planning board did look upon this pretty favorably, and they were just waiting for the zoning board determination in order to act on it. So if you have any specific questions for me, I'd be happy to answer them.
I do. Is planning's lead agency correct?
It's actually it's a type 2 action. Lot line modifications now are a type 2 action, so it's not subject to SECRA. And because it's not a previous subdivision, it doesn't require a modification of a prior subdivision. So,
You're kidding me?
I'm sorry?
I think that was something else.
Oh, sorry.
I don't know what that was.
So in any event, we don't have to worry about SECRA.
Okay.
That's great.
There might be a neighbor too when you're done with questions. There might be a neighbor who'd like to speak.
Billy,
I'm a semi-neighbor. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, excuse me for my ad break. I was yelling at my computer. I don't even see my name up here. I don't know what the hell's going on. I'm not familiar with whatever this is, Zoom meeting, okay? Stop smiling, Mr. Tarbett. That's okay, I'm kidding. Can you put me on so you can see me at least?
Sir, can you please state your name and where you live?
Yeah, I'm Jamie Sykes. I'm a resident at 26 Middle Lane.
Thank you.
Does he have a
I don't know, I was
camera?
on before, then I got knocked off. I apologize for my ad break. I wasn't mad at you guys. I was mad at myself.
your video may be shut off on your computer because we hear you, we just don't see you.
We have
Okay,
your
so,
video enabled here at
Anyway,
LTV.
keep going. Now,
Excuse me.
I'm happy to listen in as long as I know I can be heard.
Yes.
Thanks, Mr. Sykes. Any board members have any comments on this? Go ahead, Mr. Rose.
So I understand making the existing developed portion of the two properties conforming. My question regards what now becomes a non-conforming lot. What's the implication in terms of what's permissible to be built on that property? Is there a net increase of what happens? So what's the rationale other than it makes the existing property conforming, what is the existing developed property? What becomes permissible? Is there a net increase in the amount of development that becomes allowed as a result of this, or is there
Actually, I believe there's going to be a net decrease in the overall amount of development that would result from it.
Okay, so there's no I guess, let me ask it as a question. Is there a contemplated follow-on application, or is this just a mirror swap to make a property conforming and,
I can answer that question. There is no current plan for the vacant lot. It's intended to be kept. It's just intended to be kept at this point as vacant land.
Okay.
John, is that number with 40 being non-conforming as a result of this? What can the owner actually sell this, and could somebody continue to develop it, or what? What happens to it?
Okay, so the vacant lot could be built on today, and it could be built on if the owner were ever to sell it. Essentially, the only change would be that as a bigger lot right now, you could build a 10,000 square foot house on it, and as a smaller lot, if the lot line modification were to go through, you could build and I'm rounding, but you could build a 7,000 square foot house because it would then be a smaller lot. So it's about a 30% decrease in how big a house you could build. And it doesn't actually, what Billy was saying is, as far as a net decrease in what you could build here, the improved property is already pretty much built out. I think as a result of lot line modification, you could maybe build a little more on it. I think it's got 9,000 square feet of existing gross floor area. So there may be a little room to add on to that house if the owner would ever want to, but nowhere near the 3,000 square feet of gross floor area that you're losing on a vacant lot by doing a lot line modification.
Anybody else have any comments?
I don't have any problem with this at all.
I don't mind.
Two questions.
I just make the comment in light of what was said. It makes sense that, you know, I assume the board would look skeptically to have it come back and then say, oh, we need additional floor area on the other lot, wherever to be developed, because it's a non-conforming lot, given that this action is what's making the lot non-conforming.
Yeah, I'm happy to acknowledge that would be not something I would want to do. Bring that to your board.
I take one of these applications at a time. So I hear your concerns, Mr. Rose, and so we have a motion to close.
I'd like to hear from the neighbor.
Yes, can you hear from the neighbor, please?
Can you swear the neighbor in?
Thank you for answering.
Mr.
Can you hear
Sykes?
me?
Mr. Sykes,
Yes.
raise your right hand and
Yes.
state your name and address for the record.
You can't see me though.
I know.
What am I saying?
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the
I'm
truth?
James Sykes. I don't know. Oh, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
So you have no intentions at this point to do anything with the 2-acre parcel, is that right?
Tarbert.
I've been involved in a lot of discussions. None of those have involved any development of that property. I can't say that beyond that. I've never heard of any development of the property, and I've been involved in a lot of discussions.
Is there anybody at the meeting who's representing the Olsham family?
I don't believe so.
Have you had any conversations, Mr. Tarbert, with the Olsham family?
Sorry, I don't know who they are.
Mr. Sykes, I believe that everybody in the neighborhood gets noticed within 300 feet of the property. So they have been notified by mail. I mean, Ms. Bennett, you could back me up and tell us what you.
That's correct.
Okay. So they have been notified.
I'm just a little surprised. Can I comment that I'm a little bit surprised that the Olshams are not represented at this meeting, because they are the neighbors. They're 32 Egypt Lane. They also have a house on Further Lane. And they will be slightly affected by this transaction, which I'm not opposing. I'm just trying to understand it better. So the effect on the Olshams is whatever structure will be built, if it is built, will be about 100 feet closer to their property if it's centered in the middle of the new 4-acre, centered in the middle of the new 2-acre property. I have a bunch of maps, but I have no idea how to upload them. So I'm a little surprised that the Olshams haven't approached you or reacted to this. But okay, that's the case, I guess. So this is my next question. My fear, okay, is that now there's a 2-acre parcel next door to me. Excuse me, next door to the Olshams. The Olshams have 5.7 acres in their property. If they decided to subdivide it, to do the same thing that 50 Middling did, they could buy the 2 acres, the new 2-acre parcel, combine it with their parcel, subdivide it, and I could have a big
hideous house go up next to me. Okay, so can you give me some, or maybe the board could comment on that? Would that, if that were to happen, would that come before the board, and would I have any status to complain about that? I mean, in other words, that it's the middle lane is sort of going downhill generally, and one of the nice aspects of it is that there's this nice open parcel that's next to me, and it's certainly very nice for me. I certainly can't complain about that. So that's my fear, and I just wonder if the board, if that were the application that were in place, what position would the board take on that?
Can I make a comment?
Yeah, and I really don't have a comment, Mr. Sykes. I mean, I can't predict the future here, and go ahead, Phil.
Yeah, any subdivision would have to be noticed. Any lot line modification, just as this was, has to be noticed. So you would have notice, and you'd have an opportunity via the public hearing to speak.
I'd like to follow on, because I think this relates to the question that I was asking to Bill. But in terms of what could be built on the property that now becomes smaller as a result, is that in any way affected in terms of setbacks or other than square footage that can be developed? Is there any impact in terms of house location as a result of this adjustment?
The setbacks, the yard setbacks would be reduced proportionately from the lot area.
From what?
It's not a dramatic change. The setbacks are based on the lot size, but with the reduced setbacks, you're going to have a reduced house size. So it's all proportional.
What is the setback adjustment that comes as a result?
Just bear with me 1 second.
Billy, as you look that up, I think the new lot would be 83,000 square feet.
Yep.
So the old lot, let me look at the numbers for you.
It's 83,138.
Yeah, so the front yard setback would go from 80 feet to 70 feet. And the side and rear yard setbacks for a principal building would go from 55 feet to 50 feet. So a fairly nominal change.
Also, this property is already two, and you have two lots, you're going to two lots. I think the neighbor was concerned about a subdivision of the lot next to him from one lot into two lots. So it's not the same situation. There already are two lots here. It's just reorienting where the subdivision line is.
But
I have no objection to the
could I
if my fears are realized, what kind of protection I might have. Excuse me?
I just my firm represents the Olshans, and the neighbor's comment, we don't know if the Olshans received notice of this or what happened, and we would just whatever your feelings are about it, we would just like a continuance until the next meeting to ascertain that they don't have any objections.
No, that's right.
We would object to that just because that just pushes us back another month. Let a long process where we've been to the planning board and the zoning board, and it's important to realize I did look up the Oceans are the neighbor where we're proposing to change the lot line so that there'll be a 30% smaller house, right? We're going to go from 10,000 to 7,000 square feet. What could be built in that lot? So I just can't imagine a scenario where they would object to this. And again, they did get notice. So to ask for a continuation.
They actually did get it's confirmed as being received?
It's confirmed as being sent.
And that's send it. I believe that's all we ever do. I believe that's what you did, Mr. Goldstein, when you were chairman. I mean, we send the notices out. We expect that they're received. I make a motion that we close this hearing.
Second.
Can I make one more comment, please? Okay.
We've.
I think it's,
The
have we
record's been
voted
closed.
This
setting
is
me up or?
actually, we've closed the hearing.
Did we,
Okay.
did we close it or we had a vote? Did we vote on
We
it?
had a motion, we had a second,
I object to you closing it.
and your objection?
But if you notice, I think somebody, Mr. Talbot first said that he didn't know who the Olshams were. And now he just said, yes, he did know who the Olshams were. And the Olshams are in the real estate business. They know what the hell they're doing. I'm sure they got the notice. And so that's fine. Close the meeting off, but I just want that to be recorded.
Okay.
No
thank you.
request for a continuance, which was apparently denied.
So we have a motion on the
Yes,
floor.
I have no.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Can we move on to, let's, Ms. Bennett, move on to the application of 7 Chauncey LLC.
Application of 7 Chauncey LLC, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 301-1562 for area variances from Chapter 278 zoning to construct a third-story addition and a roof deck onto an existing residence. A 1.5-foot variance is requested from Section 278 3B2A to permit a portion of the residence to contain a height of 36.5 feet, where the maximum permitted height is 35 feet. A variance is requested from Section 278 2B1 to permit a 425 square foot third story in a single-family residence where a single-family residence shall not have more than 2 stories and any other relief necessary. The subject property is 106,133 square feet in area and is located at 7 Chauncey Close in Residence District R160. This project is classified as a Type 2 action in accordance with SEQA.
Tarbert again, please.
Hi, John Tarbett again for the applicant. This is another application where my client has recently bought the property. I believe the existing house was built by Kevin Mulvey in 1996 using Zorko Ortman Architects. And my client has gone back to Zorko Ortman. Most of the renovations are interior renovations. The property is permitted 8,500 square feet of gross floor area. We're currently at 7,300 square feet of gross floor area. So we have about 1,200 square feet of gross floor area we could do an addition with. In meetings with Zorko Ortman Architects, different scenarios are discussed. Additions to the existing house are not ideal. There are setback issues as well as just architectural issues. So in order to come up with a little extra square feet, which is about 250 square feet, we decided to appeal to this board to allow for a third story variance. And in that process, we either realized, I was talking to Billy about it, there's some question about whether that would trigger the need for a new septic system or whether we're just offering it as mitigation. In either event, if the variance were to granted, a new septic system, one of the IA systems would be installed. And we also decided, again, it's not entirely clear to me if the entire house would need to be sprinklered or not, but we're proposing to sprinkler the entire house. And the square footage just essentially gives a home office to the new owner. In addition, there was some discussion about trying to do a widow's walk, which essentially I think we probably ended up applying for more than what we need. I've been speaking to the architect and the applicant in the last couple of days. And I think we applied for about a 250 square foot. Now I apologize. I said 250 square feet for the third story. It's 450 square feet on the third story. The roof deck that we originally, or widow's walk that we originally applied for was 250 square feet. And we actually don't need that big. So we were going to offer to cut it back to 100 square feet. Ideally, it's just an area where you could go out and put a telescope up and look out at the stars. We also would be willing to covenant, if that variance were granted, that we would not use any of the remaining gross floor area that is available, which is approximately 821 square feet. So, and a house is about 8,000 square feet at this point. So you have about a 4,000 square foot deck. the 100, my math is correct, the 100 square foot Widow's Walk would be essentially 2.5% of the roof area. So it would be real tiny. The height variance, the Widow's Walk itself would be conforming to code. It's the railing that would need a variance, and that railing has been whittled down to needing a 10.5-inch variance.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody want to take this out on for the board or?
Yeah, John, I have a question. The building height, it looks to me like it's the variance for the building height is not just caused by the Widow Walk, as I understand it, but it's the peak of the house, that corner of the house that has a, for lack of a better term, a rounded room on the first floor, and that whole corner of the house seems to go up and exceed building height by a couple of feet. Is that correct?
No, that's so I think you're looking at an existing elevation. So there's no proposal to change anything that's existing. The only addition, I guess the easiest thing for me to do is confirm that the only thing that we would request on the outside of the house would be that 10.5-inch variance for the railing to go around the 100, slightly less than 100 square foot Widow's Walk.
So it's not the peak of the corner of the house, it's the Widow Walk that causes this variance in the height.
Correct.
I mean, I personally am in favor of, giving you the third floor office, or I don't know, Billy, is it considered an office because it has is it considered a bedroom because of the full bath up there, or?
Well, they could label it an office. They
Yep.
could label it whatever they want. In terms of whether or not it contributes to the bedroom count, the whole building would have to be analyzed to determine whether or not it would trigger a septic upgrade. The health department gives you a certain number of rooms, regardless of how you label them. And then any room beyond that figure, which I believe is 4, counts as a bedroom. And so it would just we'd have to look at the floor plans for the entire house, which I don't have. So
And
we did apply to the health department for an IA system already.
Yeah,
hopefully not prematurely.
I'm Michelle Hugo, architect with Zorko Wortman and Hugo Architects. You'll have to get sworn in, Michelle. I can clarify this, okay. You're muted, Pam.
Pam, you're muted.
Please raise your right hand and state your name for the record.
Michelle Hugo.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Just to clarify the septic situation, currently there are 2 systems because of the proximity to the pond. This has very high groundwater. So originally in 1996, when David Saskis designed the septic system for the house, he designed 2 systems. We are proposing to upgrade both systems. A total of 6 bedrooms is required. This existing system is sufficient for 6 bedrooms. And currently there are 5 bedrooms. The addition of the 3rd story would, and we have applied for an expansion of one of the systems to accommodate for that extra bedroom. That is currently in process of being reviewed by the health department.
So I'd like to make some comments, but is there anybody from the public that's on that needs to speak first? All right.
There's no callers on the line.
So I do have an issue with the Widow's Walk. Based on the fact that you're under GFA, I have no issue with the 3rd floor office. And I think it makes more sense than expanding out in the footprint in an environmentally sensitive area. And I thank the applicant for sprinkling the whole entire home and the and for the upgraded septic systems. So I think those are great. It is the health of the pond, and you guys are on the pond. So those are my comments.
Rose?
I do have concerns about the third floor, and I have concerns about the idea of a roof deck. I think the most sensitive and important aspect of, in terms of community character and impact is on the pond side of this property, which is an important natural and public resource. I think having decks at the upper portion of the house in effect, what this does with as I look at the plans, is create this, in effect, a third floor type terrace, this Widow's Walk, which is not in character with the surrounding area. And I'm concerned about the impact on the character of the area. I don't have a problem from the square footage, but I do have a problem with gigantism as it approaches the pond site.
Thanks, Joe. Craig?
Well, I'm still concerned about the building height. I think it goes along with Joe's comment. And I also wonder, is there a fire code issue here, a safety issue? How do they get out of the third floor if there's a fire?
I believe when you develop the third floor, you have to put a sprinkler system in. I believe that
the sprinkler is what does it?
Yeah. There was also egress windows would be put into that dormer for that room to have egress out the window, as well as the sprinklering the path of egress out to the front door is also required.
The egress is not clear on the plans at all.
Okay, there's 3 windows in the office, and those on the elevation are marked egress. It may not be clear, but we would have egress from those windows.
Yeah, that's on sheet A-4.2.
Yes.
Yeah.
Question, Mr. Chair?
Yes, Mr. Rose.
And this, I'm not sure who this is to, whether it's Billy or Pam or the applicant or the attorney. Are there any other examples of third floor variances or third floors constructed along the Georgia Pond? I mean, is there any example of where anything like this has been done before?
Well, I can speak to it a little bit. I'm not exactly sure about Georgia Pond. I can tell you that this Cove Hollow section of Georgia Pond is subject to covenants restrictions, which are pretty strictly enforced. There's an architectural review of any house built in this, I don't know, there might be 40 homes in this area. And we did apply to that board for review, and they did tell us that they had no objections. They actually support the application. So as far as well, again, it's not visible from the outside. So, but even from WAR, we do have, for what it's worth, the approval of the architectural committee that strictly supervises any construction. Even if you need no variances, the architectural committee in Cove Hollow Farm subdivision reviews all plans.
Understood. I'm asking for in terms Beth or Billy or.
I'm not Mr. Rose. I'm not aware of in 5.5 years of working for the village. I'm not aware of any roof deck variances or third floor variances that have been granted in the Cove Hollow Farm subdivision, or for that matter, around Georgia Pond. So.
We have granted a few around the village. We did one on Sherrill Road. I think Goldstein was chair at the time, but we did do one on Sherrill Road where they did an office on the third floor. They did add a sprinkler system to it. So
I also know that at least as far as the lanes go in the village, they're pre-existing, non-conforming, non-area stories.
I understand that there are situations of pre-existing third floors, but I express, as well, we're on the record for the hearing, a deep concern about creating an openness or precedent in terms of involving third floor variances in new construction, especially in areas that are sensitive in terms of character and environment.
I just wanted to point out as well that this was a choice that was made because of the sensitive area, and also to, instead of expanding this footprint, to utilize some of the existing attic space, because the roof, existing roof is quite steep and creates a volume above the gross floor area of the existing house at the third level. Adding the dormer was simply to gain the egress and the headroom that we needed to utilize that space. So we felt that was a path of the least disturbance to the area and keeping in character. We thought that was of big importance to our client as well as to us, to keep the character of the house intact. This is one of our previous projects and one that we're very proud of and wanted to add to sensitively. So
I think that's an important point to Mr. Rose's comment, that if it were new, if we were going to tear this house down and do new construction, I think the board has been pretty consistent in telling people that for new construction purposes, you should design to the code. Typically, I know this board only grants variances in situations like this where you're trying to repurpose a house. So I think for new construction, it would be a different situation.
I have a quick question for Michelle. Do you know what the ceiling height would be in the in that office space?
yes, it's just 8 foot.
Just 8 feet.
Mhm.
Okay, so the possibility.
At the dormer, it's actually sloped down to about 7.3 over the window.
Okay.
We did consider trying to drop the floor, to drop the ceiling height in order to fit, not have a variant. Yeah, that was my first thought.
Right.
Yeah, I wish we could have.
So I think, Jonathan, I think the board, I think we're split here a little bit. I don't think, I'm not talking for the board, but I don't think we're in favor of the Widow's Walk at all. And I think some people have concerns of the third floor. Do you want to adjourn this and come back to us?
No. So we have been holding off for a number of months on our renovation plans in order to find out about the third story. It's sort of a crucial part. So we would withdraw the Widow's Walk application in its entirety if there was consensus on the board to grant the third story variance, just because that's really, nothing can occur in the house until we know that direction of that.
Okay. So if I can, Mr. Chair, can I ask a follow-up question?
Yep.
So, and maybe I've got this wrong. Is part of the third floor application, does that include access to this area that will be serviced by the Widow's Walk or this terrace? What is essential for utilizing the interior space for an office with some dormered windows, and what involves anything that has a roof deck or roof access on a higher level than is now currently the case?
Apologize, I'm not exactly sure. Michelle, did you follow
I think I'm not sure if this is answering exactly your question, but the stair that is accessing the roof deck would be removed, as well as the roof hatch that is the access to the roof.
So I have no problem myself with the office or bedroom, whatever we're going to call it, on the third floor.
I don't either.
As long as you're removing the Widow's Walk, that portion of the application, the hatch and the stairs, I'm fine with it.
Okay. Craig?
It's good. Let's do it. If the Widow's Walk and the hatch is removed and it's clear that there is egress from the third floor, I'm okay with this.
Okay.
So I motion to close the hearing.
So we have a motion to close the hearing?
Second.
Second. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you very much.
Thank you. If we have no other business, I have a motion to, can I have a motion to close the hearing?
So moved.
Motion.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you all.